Welcome back. So, well, that was a short report from our city of Riyadh, which was all about honey. And of course, we know that there are so many of the amazing varieties of honey that we get to find not only in our local supermarkets, but there are some special stores which sell you the pure, authentic honey. But yes, nowadays it could be really very difficult for you to identify the real kinds of honey as well. But usually there are many ways through which you could tell if the honey is pure or not. And one of the things, Ghazi, that I have always heard about is that the honey which is not very pure, eventually after some time you get to see that it has a separated layer on top of it, which shows that which is a little bit whitish in color, and that shows that that is not really authentic honey, because authentic honey is supposed to retain its dark color or its lightish yellowish color depending on what kind of honey it is. And especially here in Saudi Arabia, we have some great different varieties of honey which come from the city of Taif to the region of Asir as well, and you can sometimes buy it at phenomenal prices if you especially visit some of the traditional markets for honey in those areas.
Yeah, true, and you remind me the oud oil that would have the same thing actually. But for honey, it's so difficult when you buy honey to recognize actually if it was original or no, if it was good quality or not. Some people are expert, but only a few people. And this is why actually honey markets and honey marketers, they started to put some special advertisement. I saw this advertisement saying 100,000 riyals for anyone who would approve that my honey that I'm selling is not original. This was a bigger price, yeah, in order to get people to buy this honey, because he's put in a price for 100,000. If you find out that this honey it's by our home, and I didn't visit him, you know, but I see the sign every day, 100,000.
100,000, wow.
Yeah.
So if you know how to identify real honey, but of course, well, if somebody is putting big money on it, means that it would be real honey, or maybe not. Well, actually, maybe it's just a marketing strategy to market the honey.
Maybe he's so expert in mixing honeys and doing that. But almost like, let's say, 90% would be very original and good quality.
Indeed. But well, for our viewers, if you know how to identify the real honey from the synthetic ones, then do write to us and let us know as to how it is that you are able to identify the true honey. But well, with this, moving on with our guest who's joining us here in the studio, Mr. Fateen Obaid, who is with us in the studio, is an instructor and a journalist. Assalamu alaikum and good morning, Mr. Fateen.
Wa alaikum assalam, and thank you for inviting me to share in such a very important topic and to share your honey program and diving with you also in this vacation. Many of the people are out of their homes. We are sending our greetings for them and for all Muslims all over the world also, since we are gearing toward the holy month of Ramadan. We hope it will be a blessing and full of fruitful blessings for all people in the Arab world.
Indeed, absolutely. So, Mr. Fateen, as you have been listening to our discussion and talking between myself and Ghazi this morning, have you ever experienced diving, and are you able to tell the true kind of honey?
Actually, for your first part of the question, I dived when I was maybe last time around 10 years old in a stream in my village.
Yeah.
And that stream is the school for all kids in the village to how to dive or how to swim.
Everyone should go through that.
Everyone should go there. It is around 10 kilometers far away from the village, among the mountains and valleys. Many years, kids leave their school not to their homes but to that stream in order to dive. But unfortunately, one of the students left to that stream alone. In the morning. There will be no one there, and he dived, and unfortunately he passed away in that stream. From that moment, no one dived later after that sad incident.
This is really sad. I mean, like, you know, we all have to be more careful about diving or even swimming, and never to be swimming unattended as well, because even if you are a good swimmer, God knows, well, maybe if you had some fluctuation in your blood pressure, blood sugar levels, anything as such, any slight injury, maybe even. Sometimes divers even get injuries to the head, especially when they are diving in the pool. So please be careful and make sure that you have some help which is going to be around in order to save you, God forbid, if something goes wrong. And what about the honey identification? Are you able to
according
tell it
to honey and oil, as Ghazi said, I think honesty and trust of the person that you are going to buy or get the product from is the first rank. Else, I think all rumors, you cannot judge by eyes or by human, let's say, experience that this is good or no. And I asked actually experts in oil and honey, how can we judge? They said all that you heard that you can judge with your eyes or by touch or by light or all rumors. Only labs can judge and give you the density of, yeah, it depends. So only scientific lab can judge. But anyone will tell you I'm an expert of oil or honey, he sure can be deceived by the some people who are cheating nowadays, and they are actually have a deep experience in how to cheat. Many people think that the honey, when it's pure yellow, it will be excellent. And the person who is cheating put a color inside the honey or the oil, giving a pure and lovely and even smelling. So those elements can deceive anyone. So if you want to buy, you have to trust the person first and his honesty, else you have to move directly to the lab.
Indeed. And so, Ghazi, now you know you should buy a sample, get it tested at the lab, and go claim your 100,000 if it's not true.
That's what I'm thinking about, you know.
By the way, all people cheating the oil or honey, always swearing that it's 100% it's okay.
Yeah. True, but Mr. Fateen, we're coming back to our main subject for today, actually, other than honey and diving. We're talking about risks of using the World Wide Web, which is www, which is internet in general. But first, let me have a general idea of the benefits of the internet, actually, and the various uses for it.
Actually, the World Wide Web is changing our world to a small village and climbing swiftly our lifestyle daily by acquiring all people using the internet new habits, either positive habits or bad habits. So the life of the people changed nowadays, different from the past. I think before many years, if I can say, it is the technical dark ages, that there was no internet, no mobiles, etc. And the computer ages, that is our age. If we compare between those two ages, we can sure outweigh that the benefits are more than the negative of the internet. But my point that in the past, before hundreds of years, our Muslims, scientists and Arab scholars had many innovations. But the innovations in the internet nowadays are mostly coming from the West, not from the Middle East. And we all witnessed just before 2 days when one of the programs cut or banned or suspended in the kingdom, that is a Viber program. And we saw the interpretations, why did they cut this Viber program. This kind of dialogues and discussions between people, whether they agree or disagree with the cutting or banning the Viber, is a kind of moving our society, the whole society, toward a new technology. So I think all people started their morning in their offices or at their homes by, let's say, checking their emails. This is the first step that most of the people do all over the world. So it is a key in our life. It's an axis in our life to see another world, maybe it's virtual world that is in flux with many information and knowledge. As we know that communication, it depends mostly in the internet. If you want to communicate with anyone nowadays, just you can, with a fraction of seconds, communicate with him in another continent or in another part of the world. That was a miracle before, before years, but now it is, let's say, spontaneously, just you press or click a keyboard and you communicate with many people around the world. And if you want to develop also or to see advanced, sophisticated level of any subject, sure you will lead towards certain websites that can dive with you also in order to give you more and more benefits. So I think the internet nowadays is not part of our life, but it is sharing many parts of our life, and also it is a common thing between all humans all over the world. In the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, for example, it is well known of the enlightenment of Islam or enlightenment of Da'wah, and many scholars or scientists of the kingdom nowadays, instead of let's say giving their speech in the mosque, they use the Facebook or the certain websites in order to recruit non-Muslims people out of the kingdom, of course, in many parts of the world, to enlighten them of Islam through the Facebook or website or YouTube, etc. So also, if you want to discuss any research around us, local research or international research, and you want to know the statistics of that research and the results, and what about the effects in their country, sure, the conclusion will be by using the internet. As we work also in media side, and we read daily many reports, local reports also and international reports, we usually have an access toward many agencies, news agencies, in order to know what is new on those agencies in their countries, and we may make exchange with them of our news, and this kind of exchanging, mutual exchanging, changing the whole continent, the whole world, as I said, into one village. Before years, it was a miracle, as I said before, to communicate with other people. Nowadays, we find a student in a school in Riyadh, and he has a friend in Morocco or in Cairo or in America or Britain. And when I asked him, how did you know your friend? Through the access or through chatting on the internet. So friendship with individual students, scholars, or even friendship with culture. If we want to introduce the Saudi culture, for example, to the globe, through our heritage, we simply can put this heritage on the website, and anyone can have a link to the Saudi heritage or Saudi museum or any achievements happened in the country just through the internet. So exploring the internet, of course, giving anyone certain segments of the subject that he is looking for. Of course, all of us have different interests or different concerns. So when you use the internet, many people are sticking on their mind, they are looking for certain knowledge, certain savvy knowledge, and I don't know it is good or bad. Some people are looking for certain thing, and the browsing or surfing will seduce him to go here and there. also I think it is a kind of knowledge, not to be to have restrictions. When you read, when you are reading a book, you are restricted with the cover and the pages. But when you have the whole world, the influx of knowledge in front of you, and you are moving from one idea to another, sometimes incidentally, while you are writing or while you are reading, you have light from your friend. You have to chat with him. Maybe an email also lighting on your list. You have to check. So this influx of knowledge, if we guided it will help us to develop our country, to develop our individual. But the problem that happened in many users, they misuse the internet, and instead of using the internet for the benefits for their country, their families, their society, they are using the opposite side. Like, for example, having addiction, spending all their times, ignore even their prayers, their eatings, their homeworks, their assignments, their life, and they have addiction only on the internet. So this is a disaster. We have to guide our kids or our family or our individual how to be good users for the internet. Of course, I think 1 or 2 hours for students, for example, at schools are enough. But if they use more than 10 hours, it is a disaster. And addiction in the West, it is a disease. It is a medical disease, and they need remedy for this disease. But in our society, we have many addictors using the internet, and no one guide them or lead them. You have to quit or to stop or to guide them how to use the websites.
Certainly. Now, Mr. Fateen, when using the World Wide Web, what are some of the things that parents need to be aware of? Because usually it's very common for kids nowadays, as they have command over the English language, and they're using many of the different websites and accessing different information which is all in English. And sometimes, if especially the parents are not speakers of the language, they would be able to have no understanding of what it is that the children are doing. Is it something that they are doing because of their education, because of an assignment in school or in college, or what is it about exactly? What would you say to parents like that?
Parents or family feeders?
I mean, how to monitor the children.
Right. Father or mother may be uneducated person, as you mentioned, but
I mean, not being able to speak English language does not mean you're uneducated. But I mean, let's say that it's a second language, which is not really so necessary for everyone to speak, because lots of the people, when they're working in their country in a particular environment, they don't sometimes feel the need to learn another language.
in general, parents, is there a duty, Islamic duty, of course, to make censorship for the whole process. Of course, internet is the main tributary for us and for our kids to gain knowledge, but we have to control using the internet for the kids who their age is less than, let's say, 15 years old. We have, of course, many ways to restrict that by using filtering that is adopted and accredited, by the way, in the kingdom. Many websites are blocked because they are, let's say, having maybe pornographic movies, etc. Also, parents can make censorship also by asking the mom or the members of the family to use the lap or the computer or even the mobile in a well-known place, not in his own room, not in his private room. Because many kids are going to sleep in their private room, and before sleeping, instead of sleeping, they are wasting hours chatting through their phone cells.
Yeah.
So what about applications? There are some applications for like doing some monitoring actually through the parents. It's called parenting actually, and you put the restrictions that you want. Are they useful?
I think the most important thing not to impose your kids for restrictions. You can also just by understanding with them, mutual understanding, by asking them what is the website that you prefer, what is the last topic that you read through the internet, and maybe there are some confused subject. Students or kids cannot know what is right, what is wrong. If a discussion happened with the family about this confusion, it will give each member his own opinion to express about the benefit or the negative or the positive side he saw in the internet. So we cannot actually ban our kids, because if we ban them from home, they will live to their neighbors or to the markets. So I think understanding and leading them by virtue is better than threatening them of the websites. Even also we have the power to restrict when they were at home, but when they leave the country, for example, or leave the village or live with the friends, we cannot control them. So I think restriction is a must for parents, but if there is understanding for the sons, it will be better, of course.
Yeah, Mr. Fateen, as we know, there are different types for the websites. It's a different world, and it has different types and different categories. The first one, actually, in the past we used to have the forums actually, and the chatting websites were the most popular. While these days we see the social networks, which are such as Facebook and Twitter, the most famous too, becoming like much more famous than the rest, and those maybe some of them already closed down. What is the reason behind this, you think? What changed? Did the people change, or is it the mechanism of the internet?
Actually, there are many incidents happened in the Middle East during the previous month.
Yeah.
You know, the uprising that swept many Arab countries.
Yeah.
And when we discuss deeply the main reason, maybe the Facebook.
Yeah.
So the Facebook or the computer or the internet has nowadays a powerful tool. It's a powerful tool, maybe stronger than weapons. If there is fighting in the battle, the enemy will using visible weapons. But through the internet, you are dealing with unseen enemy. So you have to be care more than the real life or the real enemy. Of course, also we have many, let's say, disasters in the internet. This Wi-Fi world nowadays is changing from time to time. Nowadays you are using Facebook, as you mentioned, or Twitter or Facebook or Viber, etc. Others using Line, etc. After 1 or 2 weeks, newcomers will be on the scene. So there are also blogs, forums that you mentioned.
Yeah, that's right.
All these blogs, these forums happened in the internet is, I think, positive if we can use it well. But other people in the world using the web in order to make destruction, to make deterioration for the civilization. Many people using cyber attacks for the websites, and we heard even most reputable companies, those cyber attacks targets those banks and those companies. So we need, I think, in the Middle East, of course, we need more firewalls against those attackers, those hackers, in order to save our websites. And the other thing also, we need more experts, Arab experts, to have an access and to create something new. We are in the Middle East just consumers of the technology that the West, of course, gave it to us instead of our money. So I think the Arab world, it's their time not to be a consumer forever. We have many scientists, we have many scholars, and we have many IT departments in the Middle East. I don't know why don't we have the equivalent to make a Facebook.
Yeah.
Not the Facebook, a program which is similar, or similar to YouTube, or similar to Viber. What's wrong with us? We have the financial ability, and we have the intelligence minds, and we have to stop those attacks by making firewall, I mean human firewall, through our knowledge and through our members, the society members, not negotiating with the innovator or the innovator of the program, not to stop it in our country. Or sometimes he threatens us, I will stop the service in your country, even though this person maybe he's overseas, far away from our country. So we want to be a judge of ourselves when we have our technology, that sharing the other part of the world, but with equivalent, not be just a consumer, that we use the internet, and this internet is not our product.
Indeed, certainly.
Yeah, and with this actually, Mr. Fateen Obaid, we would like to thank you very much. As we're running off time, and we started a little bit late, and we're supposed to get more time, and maybe next time with you, since I got many questions for me, as this is part of my interest in the technology and websites. Thank you very much.
Thank you for you and for your viewers also, and for all people, and again blessing holy month of Ramadan for all our viewers.
Thanks
Thank
a lot.
you so much for joining us.
And for now, actually, we're moving from Riyadh to Beirut city to see a report about the Saudi aids for the Syrians who live in Beirut and for Syria. As we know, Syria is having have a bigger problem actually, which is a civil war now between Syrians, and Saudi supported them. So we'll see the report and we'll be back to you. Stay with us.